Welcome everyone. Bruchim Aboim. Today's Amud is, let me just see what it's connecting. Today's Amud is Brachos Daf Lamed. Let's see. Lamed Hey. Base. We're the bottom of Lamed Hey on the base. About 5 lines from the bottom. We saw already a couple of words here. We'll just do it from the 2 dots again. Gufa. Amar Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. So we've got these 2 greats, Shmuel and Rav Yechanan. Shemen Zayis. What bracha do you make if you drink olive oil? It's very enjoyable, apparently. You say, you made the fruits of the tree? Hey Chidami, Gemara wants to know, what are we talking about over here? What's the case? In what circumstance do you say Bayapri on olive oil? If we're talking about a guy takes a bowl of olive oil, it's bad for you, it's going to harm you. What happens? It doesn't say, but it ain't good. So Rashi says, you don't make a bracha if you drink poison. Even if it's not going to kill you, but you're drinking something that's going to harm you, you don't make a bracha. Tanya, how do I know this? It says, meaning, you drink shemen that's truma. So what's the din? You got to pay, Karen. If you drink $100 worth of shemen truma, you got to pay the basic mikdash $100. But you don't pay knas. Normally, when you eat truma, you pay the value. If it was worth $100, you pay $100 plus chaimish a fifth, $20. You got to pay $20 fine here, right? But if you drink shemen of truma, you don't need to pay the chaimish. Because meaning it's not really lachila, that's why you don't pay the chaimish. You pay what you damaged. You damaged 100, you pay 100. But you don't got to pay $20, 20% chaimish because you enjoyed eating shemen truma. No, it's not food. But, says the price, asach shemen truma, you start rubbing yourself with shemen truma, you anoint yourself. Use it as moisturizing cream. Mishala misakeren, mishala mischaimish. If you use it as a lotion, then you pay Karen and Chaimish. You pay the full price plus the 20%. So you see from here that drinking shemen, that's not food. That's not food. You don't have to pay Chaimish. So what are we talking about? Which bracha do you make when you drink olive oil? What we're referring to, we just saw from the case of Truma that drinking olive oil, that's not called food. Says the Gemara, Ela t'ka'achal al pas. We refer to a case where you made nice toast, you poured olive oil over it. That's what we're talking about here. You're not gargling olive oil, you're drinking it with your toast. So Gemara says, if we're talking about where you drizzle the olive oil on your bread, right? So then the bread is the ikar, that's the main part of the meal, and the olive oil is secondary. And you only have to make a bracha on the main thing you're eating. You don't have to make a blessing on the secondary thing. Only on the bread. So Gemara says, Vatanan Zaklal. This is the rule. This is the general rule. Kolshu ikar v'matfela. Anytime you eat something where there's the main thing and the secondary thing, classic case they talk about is an ice cream cone. You have ice cream, you're not eating the ice cream for the ice cream cone, you're having it for the ice cream. Big shaila. Nowadays, if they make nice ice cream cones, if you have to make a bracha on the ice cream cone, so you have to make a blessing on the main thing you're eating, and that will paita the tefela. That doesn't require you to make a bracha on the secondary thing. So what are we talking about here? What's the case? We're back to the original question. What's the case where you have to make a bracha on your olive oil? Says the Gemara, we're talking about where you poured the olive oil into your nigrun. We're going to see what that is exactly. And then you drink it. So what's the anigun? The Amar Rabba Bashmuel And nigron is maya de silka. Maya de silka, Rashi says, is tardin. Basically, spinach soup. Maya de silka, spinach soup. So you pour olive oil in your spinach soup, very recommended, it tastes good. So then you're drinking this spinach soup. What bracha do you make on the oil in the soup? And Gemara says, and sigrun is maya de chulashalku. Any other cooked vegetables, that is called and sigrun. So we're talking about here a case where you pour the olive oil in your nigrun, in your vegetable soup. What bracha do you make? The Gemara says, Imkain, again, same question. Havilahu nigrun ikar v'shem etafel. If you talk about a guy who pours olive oil into you put olive oil into your spinach soup. So why are you having it? Because of the spinach soup? Because of the olive oil. The main reason why you're having this soup is because of the soup, not because of the oil. And therefore, havilahu nigrun ikar v'shem etafel. Again, you have the same thing like bread. There's no difference in having the soup with the olive oil or bread with the olive oil. You make a blessing on the soup and not on the bread, and not on the olive oil. And it says in the Mishnah, same principle we had before. You don't make a bracha on the tafel, you only make a bracha on the ikar, on the main thing. So back to the original question. What bracha do you make on Shem Zayis? What are we referring to? What's the case we're referring to here? Sore throat, your throat hurts you. So what do? What did they do a couple of thousand years ago before there was modern medication? Not that it helps for sore throat. The Tanya, it says in the Braisa, so they used to drink olive oil. On Shabbos, you shouldn't yar'enu. We're going to see a little bit of machlokes what that means. You drink the olive oil, you're not supposed to do any type of gzeira d'arbanan. You're not supposed to do any type of medical procedures on Shabbos. Unless, of course, it's some type of danger, koch nefesh, or whatever, it's dangerous for a person. But you got a sore throat, you shouldn't start taking medication for it. So you're drinking this olive oil. The Brisa says, your throat hurts. So what you do? So Rashi says, take a look in the top line of Rashi. Rashi says, top line, we're on Lamav Vav Amud Aleph, top Rashi. You put a lot of oil into this anigron, into your spinach soup. Now you put in tons of oil into your spinach soup, right? So now the oil is the main part of the soup. Now you can't say the oil is the tafel, the oil is the secondary part. Because you're drinking it for your throat, you pour in tons of oil into your spinach soup. Now the oil is the main part, so you got to make a bracha on the oil. So what's this lo yarenu b'shem? And Rashi says, b'Shabbos d'mashile b'dorek groina. We talk about a case where you're drinking the soup. Instead of drinking the soup, you keep it in your throat. You gargle with the spinach soup. And that's clearly ve'ena baila. You're not swallowing the soup, Rashi says. Afterwards, you spoil it. And since you stick the soups in your throat, it's blatantly obvious that you're drinking the soup, not because you want to have a nice soup on Shabbos, but because you're trying to fix your throat. And that's forbidden. And the Chacham say you're not allowed to do anything that's blatantly obvious that you're doing it for medical purposes. They were guys, the Chacham were guys. They said, we're not going to let you go ahead and do medical things on Shabbos, even though there's no biblical issa, because you might go ahead and grind up your medicine, which is a biblical prohibition. So he said, you can't take any refuah on Shabbos, unless, of course, it's dangerous, in which case, pikuach nefesh is deicha Shabbos, right? So we're talking here about a guy who's gargling the soup, and it's obvious, therefore, that you're doing it for medical reasons. That's also, if you're doing it for medical reasons, but it's not blatantly obvious, it's not muchach, it's not obvious you're doing it for that. You're having soup with tons of oil, and you happen to be helping your throat out at the same time, that's okay. So says the Gemara. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about a case here where this guy, he drinks his soup on Shabbos, it says, the Brisa says, you can't keep it in your throat. Aval, what can you do? You could put the shemen, you could put the oil in your soup and swallow, no problem. That's not a problem. Only you can't gargle, you can't keep it in your throat, right? So, you might think that since you're eating the soup for medical reasons, you don't make any bracha. In other words, when you take medicine, you're drinking some of that, I don't know, Pepto-Bismol, you don't make a bracha on it. You don't make a bracha on medicines. Kamash Malon, it's come to tell me, the Bryce is come to tell me, give me these by bruche. Since you enjoy this spinach soup with olive oil, even though you're taking it for your throat, but since you're also enjoying it, you're going to make a bracha. In other words, if the Pepto-Bismol tastes really good and you drink it for enjoyment reasons, then you got to make a bracha on it. And that's the case over here. We're talking about a guy, he puts the olive oil in the spinach soup, he's enjoying it, but it's also for his throat. So he's got to make a bracha. And that's the question. What bracha do you make? Do you make a Bayer Priya Eitz, or do you make a Shakol? That was a Shaila, if I remember correctly. Sorry, he said you make a Bayer Priya Eitz. We didn't get to the Shakol yet. He says you make a Bayer Priya Eitz if you drink the Shem Zayis. Right? Question is, what bracha? Okay, well, let's keep going. You make a Bayer Priya Eitz if you drink Shem Zayis and you're enjoying it. Says the gemorah. We are on Lam Vav Amud Aleph, about 10 lines down. A new case. Kimcha dechiti, flour of wheat flour. Review the Amma, Omer by Priyadama. What bracha do you make on wheat? In other words, you don't take the wheat and you put water in and eggs, you make a nice baguette out of it. You take the flour, and I don't know if it's even edible, and you eat the flour. You can eat it. So what bracha do you make on wheat flour? So Rav Yehuda says, Bar Piyadama. It's something that grows in the ground. You say, thank you for creating stuff that grows in the ground. Rav Nachman says, no, you don't say Bar Piyadama, you say Shakol, Niyeh B'dvarai, and that's halacha. You say Shakol. See the little letter there? That means it's a halacha. Most Rishonim pass like Rav Nachman in this case. So you say Shakol if you have wheat flour. Interestingly, the Gemara doesn't speak about it here, but what bracha do you make after you eat the flour? So l'chari, you should say bar nefashes. It's like having any other vegetable, right? Some want to say that there's an interesting bracha called ala doma val priyadoma. It's like you're eating chameshes minim, you're eating from the 5 minim, you didn't make it into bread, you're having just wheat flour. So you have to make ala michya. You can't say ala michya because it's not bread, it's not baked goods, it's not a donut. What do you say? You say ala doma priyadoma, new bracha. Even though it doesn't say it anywhere in Chazal. But the Pashas, you say bar nefashes, that's halacha. You say bar nefashes. Amalei Rav Rav Nachman. So Rav Nachman said that you say shakal. So Rav says to Rav Nachman, Sifla galei Rav Yehuda. Don't argue with the great Rabbi Yehuda. Why? The Reb Chaim, the Shmuel, Chaim Kornbluth, Rav Chaim and Shmuel also agree with Rabbi Yehuda. So it's not just you against Rabbi Yehuda, it's you against Rabbi Chaim and Shmuel. How do I know? Dam Rabbi Yehuda and Shmuel, v'chen Rabbi Yisrael and Rabbi Chaim. Here's your Shmuel and Rabbi Chaim. Shem and Zayis, Mevachan al Bayer Priya Eitz. If you drink your Shem and Zayis, your olive oil, you say the tree bracha. Alma avagav dishtani, even though it's changed. Originally it was an olive. You said the Bayer Priya Eitz on olive. Now it's changed. You change it into olive oil. What bracha do you make on olive oil? Bayer Priya Eitz avagav dishtani. Even though you've changed the structure, the way you're eating, the thing you're eating, but milsekai, it stays as a Bayer Priya Eitz. It keeps this bracha. So hachinami. Here also avagav dishtani b'milsekai. Even though it's changed, even though it was wheat, now you've changed it into flour, you should still say Adama. Why would you say, why do you say Shakol? Why did you change the bracha? Why did you downgrade the bracha? Shakol is a general bracha that patters everything. But you see from the Bayer Priya Eitz that you say on olive oil, even if you've changed something, it keeps this bracha. You still say eitz on Shem Zayis. So why would you downgrade the bracha of flour from mezainis from Adama to Shakal. So Gemara answers. Says Rav Nachman, he's going to answer like this. Hacha, there's a difference between flour and oil. Hacha isli eloi achrina b'pas. With wheat, with flour, there's another stage you could do. You can upgrade it to bread. That's the point of it. Right? Since you can upgrade it to bread, now you're not having what it's made for. Now you're only having something that was downgraded. You take the wheat, you make it into flour, and now you're supposed to upgrade it to bread. That's why you make flour, to turn it into bread. So therefore you should say shakal now. Only if you, we're going to see, the Gemara is going to say, and just because you can upgrade it, so therefore, just because there's like an upgrade here somewhere, you make a shakal? That's what the Gemara is asking. So anytime that something could be upgraded, you're only going to make a shakal. V'amar Zera or Masna. Amar Shmuel, Akara Chaya. V'kimcha Desairi, Mvarchin Aleh Shakal Nia B'dvarai. So what is this Kara Chaya and what is Kimcha Desairi? Kimcha Desairi is wheat barley, right? What is Kara Chaya? So what's the din? The Gemara says, what bracha do you make on these two things? Shakal nia b'dvarai. So what is Kara the Chaya? Take a look in Rashi. Rashi says, hold on. Hold on.
Is it the one that's Korah?
No, that's the other Rashi. Hold on. Kara Chaya, raw kara, raw pumpkin. Okay? Oh, raw pumpkin. What do you make on it? Sorry, there's no Rashi here. Kara Chaya v'kimcha desar. What do you say on it? You say shakal nia b'dvarai. In other words, no one eats raw pumpkin. You always cook it, right? But if you're having raw pumpkin, kemach sayim or wheat barley, so what do you eat? So Gemara asks, "My love, the chiti bar piadama." Are we not talking about the fact that my love, isn't it? That in other words, why does the Gemara specify? Why does this brayta specify barley, the wheat of the kemach, the flour of barley? My love, the chiti, the flour of wheat. You say bar piadama. But the flour of barley, you say shakal. That's what the Gemara wants to induce. This brisa says the barley flour, you say shakal. The implication being the wheat flour, you say parpi adama. The Gemara says, don't make that induction. The chiti nami shakal nia bidvarai. Also, wheat flour, you say shakal. So why does it talk about barley as opposed to wheat? Well, Ashminan, the chiti v'koshken, that chitin, wheat, and all more so barley, you have to make shakal. So Yashmin the chiti, if I would talk about wheat, have a min hanamil the chiti. I would think only wheat specifically. I might think if you eat barley flour, you don't make any bracha at all. That's why it discusses barley flour. Tell me barley flour, you need to make a shakal on it. Kamash Malan, first wide line, Kamash Malan, that also wheat and also barley, you got to make a shakal on. So Gemara asks me, melech v'zomis. Why is this worse than melech and zomis? Melech is salt, and zomis is salt water. The Snan, it says in the Brisa, ala melech ala zomis, oim shakal nebidvari. What bracha do you make if you drink salt water or salt? Shakal. Everything. The general bracha. Isrich. So why would you have to make adoma on flour? Sakdach no melech zomis over the nishadi b'pumei. Salt and salt water over the nishadi b'pumei. Some people eat salt. Some people, they eat salt, right? Or they drink salt water. Pickle juice. I know people drink pickle juice, right? Some people love it. Avakimcha desairi, but barley flour, hoyo the kosher lekukyoni, leilevachalek klal. Since barley flour is bad, it gives you kukyoni. Kamash malan, you don't make any brachas. You're asking what's kukyoni. So Rashi says,
worms.
huh?
Intestinal worms.
Right, intestinal worms. Since it gives you worms, if you eat barley flour, don't make any bracha. Kamash malan, you do make a bracha. I think maybe it's talking about probiotics. Maybe it gives you like the small bugs. It's the wrong chelik. Kamash malan, the what? The kivan these are nomine by bracha. Even though it can give you these worms, since you're enjoying eating your wheat, your barley flour, you still have to make a bracha on it. In other words, there's a lot of food that we eat that's unhealthy. I'm drinking here like someone just gave me. What is this? There's probably stuff that's not good about it. But since I'm enjoying it, you make a bracha. You don't say, "Oh, listen, it's harmful. Don't make a bracha." No, you do make a bracha on it. Okay, kaira. Now, actually getting into the first, I think, real specific item.
Yeah.
The question is, what bracha do you make on kaira? Kaira, what bracha do you make on kaira? We're going to see in a minute what that is. This is a huge machlekes.
What's kaira?
Exactly, what's kaira? Let's take a look at Rashi. What's kaira? Before you go any further. Rashi says kaira, rach shel dekel. Kaira literally means like a beam. But Rashi says rach shel dekel, the kaira, the soft part of a palm tree. The soft part of a tree. Kishanaf of g'dailim, when its leaves grow, b'chol shana v'shana, every year, kedach kol lanais, like all the trees, a naisef b'shana zurach. Kedach kol lanais, a naisef b'shana zu, v'shana shneim is kasha v'nasa eitz. L'chayri is talking about a specific type of tree that the first year it grows, it's very soft, it's edible, it's soft, it's edible, and after the second year it hardens up and you can't eat it. In English it's called lignification. Nothing to do with being a liar. It becomes hard. It gets ligaments. I don't know what it gets. So all trees, they become hard. They become hardened after a while. So specifically, the chayra is talking about bamboo, either bamboo, which becomes hard. The first year people eat bamboo, it's supposed to be very healthy. But you can only eat it when it's like under a year old. Afterwards, it becomes like it's actually one of the hardest trees. It becomes incredibly hard, one of the strongest woods. Right, but the first year it's nice and soft. You can eat it. It's a delicacy. It's very healthy. So either it's that or maybe asparagus also starts off very soft. You leave it to harden, liquefaction makes it very hard. That's the chayr what Rashi says we're talking about here. Trees that start off soft, they become hard. So what bracha do you make on it? Do you look at the end that it's becoming hard, or do you look at the fact that now it's soft? The Rambam says here we're talking about something totally different. We're talking about hearts of palm. That the palm tree, you got this. The bark, right? And the top of the bark, all the beautiful leaves come out of, and the top of that thing is soft and mushy. That's called, and it becomes hard. So that thing, the heart of the palm, they scoop out from the top, and if you take it away, it stops the leaves growing. So the question is, what bracha do you make on that? Now it's soft, it's going to become hard.
But there's a canned item that you can eat called hearts of palm.
Right. So what bracha do you make on hearts of palm? That's where it's from. It's from the palm tree. Now, some say that nowadays they grow these, they keep them very small, and they don't even grow into trees, and they take out the hearts of the palm before it grows into a tree. So therefore, you make adom on it, and not eights. We're going to see. So what bracha do you make on hearts of palm or bamboo shoots? What bracha do you make on it? Kaira. Back to the gemorah, fourth white line. Review the aimer bar piadoma. You know, bracha, you make bar piadoma. Again, you can't say bar priya eitz. It's not the fruit of a tree. It is the tree, right? So the tree grows in adama. So what bracha do you make on it? Bar piadoma. Shmuel Amar, no, you don't say bar piadoma. You say shakol niya b'dvarai.
Why?
Review them. We're going to see. Review them bar piadoma. V'shmuel shakol niya b'dvarai. Hayol v'seifer la'akshais. Since this hearts of palm or the asparagus of bamboo is going to become hard. It's going to harden up. So you don't make adam on it. You make shakol. You're not eating the real. You look at the end. At the end, it's a tree. Take a look at Rashi. Is there Rashi here?
Yes.
Huh? Seifelish kashais. No, it's a different thing, but it's the same aside that you're not eating it the way since it's going to become inedible, so you can't make adom on it. That's the idea. So we're going to see. Amar Shmuel Rav Yehuda. Shmuel says to Rav Yehuda, wow, Shinina, smart one. Kavosach Mustavra. The Svara says like you. You're right. He doesn't say you're right. He says small one. Logically, you're right. Why? Tatzainen. Tatznun. Sorry, tznun. What's a tznun? A radish. Radish is a seiflis lahakshais. Radish has also become very hard. If you don't take it at exactly the right time, they start off soft and juicy and tangy. You don't eat the radish. You leave it on the tree. It becomes very hard and basically inedible. So what's the brach on tznain? You say, Bayrei piadoma, fruit of the ground, right? Veloi. That's not say 1 second. So Veloi, that's none, not the inshadaisa the pugla. The reason pugla Rashi says is fruit. People plant the radishes to eat the fruit. People don't plant the palm tree to eat the hearts of the palm. They plant the palm tree to eat the dates. That's the main fruit. Or because it looks nice. They're not planting a palm tree to eat the hearts of the palm. It's a tiny little crop there. So therefore, just because with a radish you say bar piadoma, that's because you planted it for the fruit, for the adoma. But here, you're not planting it for that. So, says the gemorah,
Why are you planting it?
So ask the gemorah, what? I don't understand. If anything you don't plant for that intention, you don't make the right bracha on it. You don't say the original bracha, it gets downgraded. You've got to plant it for that specific reason. Vahare. Let's analyze. Tzlaf. Capers. Do not the insha die to the pircha. People plant it for the pircha. Rashi says the pircha is the fruit. People plant the capers for the fruit. The tanan, and there's a mishnah. The mishnah is like this. There's 4 parts of the caper you can eat. We're going to see there's the shoots, there's the berries, there's the capers, and there's the leaves. So the tanan, amini nitzpa is these capers, ala olin for the leaves, valat marais, and for the berries, aime ber piadoma. Sorry, altmaris is the shoots. So on the leaves and the shoots, you say bar piadoma. But the avyenis are the berries, and the kafrisin, the capers, capricin, I guess that's a caper, that's where the word comes from. The capricin, you say bar priya eitz. So you see, Omer of Nachman by Yitzchak, tzlaf, not the insha adaita the shuta. People plant the capers to eat the shoots. People don't plant. So the question was, as you see from here, you see from the fact that you say bar piadoma on the shoots and on the leaves, but you say bar priya eitz on the avyenis and the kafrisin, even though you didn't plant it for. Let's see Rashi. Rashi says avyenis. The avyenis is the huapri. The main part of the caper isn't the caper; it's this berry. Kafrisin, the caper hua klippa, that's the shell. G'daylish svivas apri that grows around the fruit. Ke'en klippa like a shell. Agdaylish savav goizim dakim that grows around thin like a shell around thin nuts. In other words, nuts have got like sometimes a shell. That you eat the shell, right? Almonds have got like a thin what's it called? Sheath that covers the almond. You eat it. You don't peel the sheath always. Tzlaf, not the insha daita de shuta. People, when they plant capers, they want to eat the whole thing. Why?
Aren't capers fish eggs?
No.
What are capers?
It's like a berry. You ever see these flowers that grow? There's little purple sticks coming out of it,
Yeah.
and that's what it
I
is.
thought capers was fish eggs. Okay.
No. It tastes like fish eggs, maybe. I don't know what fish eggs taste like. So. It's got a very strong taste, very bitter. I don't know what. Some people love it. One in a salad here and there.
Never had them. Okay.
It's supposed to be very healthy. So Gemara says, "Tzlaf noti in shadaita the shuta." People plant the capers to eat the shoots. Dik lelai noti in shadaita the kaira. People don't plant the palm tree in order to eat the hearts of palm. And therefore, you'll only make a hadoma. Therefore, you make a shakol. Even though Shmuel praised Rav Yehuda, halacha kavasi the Shmuel, we still passing like Shmuel, and therefore the bracha on hearts of palm should be shakol. I think nowadays they say that you should say hadoma on it because it's not a tree. They make it specially for the hearts of palm, so the whole svara doesn't apply. They're not planting it for that. They are planting it for that. They're planting it for hearts of palm. They make special hearts of palm trees. They know that's what they're growing. So, says the Gemara, back to Gemara. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav. Now that we're talking about this whole sugya, tzlaf shel arla v'chutz la'aretz. Now, we're going to have to actually wrap up over here. I see we're going over time. I'll just give you a brief akdama for tomorrow. That the whole din of arla, the Gemara is going to be talking about arla now. Arla is the first 3 years that you grow your fruit, you can't eat it. That is true in Eretz Yisrael. In Chutz La'aretz, outside Eretz Yisrael, midaraisa, you don't have to keep arla, l'chayra. But midabanan, you have to keep arla Chutz La'aretz. So, now the Gemara is going to discuss over here what happens with your tzlaf shel arla b'chutz la'aretz. What do you do with your capers that grow in Chutz La'aretz? And it's arla. What can you do with it? Let's take a look in Rashi. It's an interesting hakdama to the whole sugya. Arla b'chutz la'aretz. Medivrei seifrimu. So Rashi says straight away that the whole din of arla chutz la'aretz is only the rabbanon. There's no biblical arla in chutz la'aretz. So it happens to be it's a machlekes in the gemorah if it's medivrei seifrim or if it's halacha Moshe Messinai. They ask, why does Rashi have to specify? Either way, it's the same din. It's suffix lahakal. But we're going to see tomorrow, Be'ez Hashem, that the whole shaila is, what do you do in Chutz La'aretz with suffix arla, capers suffix arla? Major sugya. All right, have a wonderful day. Shkoyach.